Welcome to the PTA Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, John Kelliger, accompanied by my co-host, Nick Kelling. Nick, how you doing tonight?
Howdy, I'm doing excellent.
We have a very special guest, Nicky. I've known him for basically my entire life. I would consider him one of my closest friends. I'm very happy to have him on the program. Nicky, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, John and Nicholas. It's an honor to be here this evening.
You too, Nicky.
Yes, we're going to try to avoid the confusion. We have two Nicks on the pod tonight, so if for all of our listeners out there, if you get confused, believe me, we are confused as well. So don't feel bad.
Nicky, a lot of guests that we have here, we talk about like business. We have realtors, people who are opening up their own franchises, businesses. What do you do?
Yeah, I told John specifically I have zero business experience, but past 3 years I've been a public school teacher teaching science.
And just because you have no business experience, I think having you on would be good for our listeners, just to give people a different side of the coin, because you do have a lot of interesting investment vehicles such as 401ks, pension, you have summers off, and I would love to dive into if you're 9 to 5er and you're not a business person, what avenues of approach can you use to exploit your tools that are given to you in your chosen career to do investments, retirement, or whatever you want to do. That's what I'm having on, because you are an interesting side. You're the different side of what we've had on. That's why I thought you'd be a perfect guest.
No, I think we're having a good episode, gentlemen.
So, why did you get into the teaching field?
I think maybe 4 or 5 of my family members have been teachers, and at first I started at nursing, but when I learned you had to wipe people's asses and stuff, I passed on that and having to clean people's vomit. But working in a field where you can help people to some extent is always something interesting to me. Right now I'm in the midst of maybe getting my master's or not and pursuing that, but that's a different topic. But yeah, just helping people. I had a lot of cool teachers growing up. Me and John went to the same high school. We could probably name some of the same teachers that we'll say Coach Rex was a really great teacher for everyone in their lives.
OJR.
Yeah. So just having a bunch of different people in my life that were teachers, and then looking into it. I went to school at Western Michigan, and during the midst of all that, there was a teacher shortage, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to screw around. It's going to be easy to get a job, and it has been for the most part, but yeah.
Okay. And I knew some of my teachers kind of have a little side gig on the summers. Do you have something like that?
Yeah, the past couple of years, I've been teaching summer school, which has been a good gig. It's $60 an hour, Monday through Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So for the summers, I have my Mondays and Fridays. So I would teach summer school, or I'd work at a country club as a greenskeeper. It's nice to I love working with my hands, and being outside is great. And it's like a 40 grand club that I get to play for free every Monday, and all the free golf balls and all the free stuff I get from it is awesome in the summers. Yeah.
Nice. And for people to know, where do you teach at?
So I teach in West Michigan.
West Michigan. Okay. So
Michigan, how far away from Detroit are you?
I'm 2 hours from Detroit. I'm about about a half hour from Grand Rapids. And then
from Chicago. Are you, just to give people Yeah,
I'm about maybe 3 hours from Chicago.
Okay. So, here in Houston, the state of Texas just took over the Houston school district. So it's no longer the Houston that's running the schools. It's now the whole state, and a lot of people are fighting about, hey,
yeah.
We don't really like this.
I used to work in Grand Rapids Public Schools, so the second biggest, largest city in Michigan, and that was on the doorstep for a lot of those schools. Just the numbers and the data that those schools put out, the state comes in and it's like, all right, screw this. We're just going to take this into our own hands. The teachers need to report every little thing. And there's just a lot more paperwork just because you're getting the state involved. So, yeah, you said you're in Houston?
Yep.
I feel
going down right now is the state of Texas just took over because the kids were failing standard
Oh,
tests
yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's something we can get into later. But I have like seventh graders right now who are at like a first grade reading math level. It's like
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
bad.
wow.
It's
So
like,
I think that's on to our next question. What do you teach and what grade level do you teach at?
So the past 3 years I've been teaching science at the middle school level, which I'm not going to do forever. There's definitely fun parts of the day, and there's definitely like just crazy stuff to it. But yeah, it's seventh and eighth grade science. So imagine like your middle school science classroom with like the black like what do you want to call it, black countertops, and you can like stencil it in. Like that's what I'm
yeah.
around all day.
You have like the showers with like if you have something getting your eye.
Oh,
do, like,
dude, the amount of times I get asked, what happens if you pull this? It's like, dude, you're just gonna get covered wet. And then there's the eye wash stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
It's
I in middle school, I was always like, "Ooh, I really want to pull that."
Oh no,
What
that's what I'm
happened?
saying. We get that asked like once a day. I don't blame them. I think maybe the last day I'll just pull it.
did you
Yeah.
have Flafida, Nick?
Yeah, I
Nick,
did.
what?
It was kind of like that setup. It was similar to that. I mean, I'm in a pretty old school, so it's not much has changed since we've been in it. What, John? That was 2011, 2010.
Yeah, the Franklin Middle School grind.
Yeah, like 15 years ago. I mean, nothing has really changed.
So you said there are the state's taking over and mentioned the test. Like, kind of give us like a day to day, like boots on the ground, like vibe of the school. Like, what are some positives of the school? What are some negatives that you kind of observed? Because you've been doing it for a while, 3 years.
Yeah. So my overall, so my first school was essentially in the hood, and my second school is kind of in a nicer area, but it's kind of all kinds of folks, like rich people that live on like Lake Michigan, on crazy like $5 million houses, and then people who live in trailers. So that's been an interesting mixture. I would say the coolest thing is probably the same thing with you in the military, John. Like no matter where all these walks of life come from, like everyone gets along and like I don't know, just figures out how to be buddies and figures out how to problem solve. That's one thing I like. But then the flip side of that is like bullying or making fun of kids. It's like, dude, everyone's just trying to do their best.
Yeah, that's tough, especially with the bullying aspect. And it's a weird age. The middle school age is definitely one ripe for bullying because you just kind of hear
And I mean,
like puberty and all that nonsense.
oh yeah, we're all guilty of it too. But like you look back on it and you're like, yeah, that was just being an asshole for like no reason. So you learn it through maturity and all that shit too.
Trial and error. We learned that when you make fun of someone, it hurts you and them as well. So then you learn not to do that. Is there like fist fights at your school? Because we're me and
dude, my first school when I was at the GRPS school, man, you do not want to get in a black girl fight, man. Whew. Like just weave and hair pulling, and it's crazy. So a big thing is like you can't like you don't touch students, and I'll never do that. But like I will just stick my leg in there to try to break it up and call security over. Like I don't really deal with much fights at this new school, but man, the hood fights, crazy.
And then bigger the school, probably more fights. Because in my like the school that I grew up in, it was really small. There was like no fights ever that broke out. But having a lot of friends from like big schools, like they're like, yeah, we had like multiple fights a day.
No, but that's the thing. These bigger schools, I mean, the kid like it sounds crazy, but dude, the kids could just if they decided to, they could all just run out, and there's not enough adults to like do anything. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So especially like when you get like an adult to like kid ratio, and like the kid ratio is way higher than adult, that's where crazy shit happens. Yeah.
what is the student to teacher ratio? And
Man, I'm by myself with like 31 kids, bro.
oh my god, you're packed in like sardines.
So, and if you would ask me my ideal number, I would say no more than like 22. Like when I have 22 kids in a class compared to 32, like it's really easy to tell.
Yes, especially because people have been throwing around possibly having two teachers. I know there's a teacher shortage, but this is like unfeasible. How would you feel with if you had 32 kids in a classroom with another teacher, or maybe not even a teacher, like an aide? What did you say that would hurt or help?
So that's a great point you bring up. A great thing to be like the finance part of it is awful, and like they should. I mean, these ed assistants at my school get paid like $16 an hour. It's like, dude, you could work at McDonald's and make more. So like, why would anyone want to do it? You know? So realistically, like Hope in Grand Valley or just any school like University of Houston, like anyone in that ed program, like have them come in and have them get paid through the school or something like that. You know what I mean? Get them boots on the ground experience and give an adult an extra set of hands. Because, dude, if I help one kid and I turn my back, it just turns into chaos.
Especially with 7th graders.
Oh, exactly. I mean, like, yeah, anything you could think of, man. Especially like when you were a 7th grader, it's just the same stuff.
Oh yeah,
I think
that was not the ideal.
Yeah.
Oh no, nor was I. I'm pretty sure I made my 7th grade science teacher cry. So maybe all this was karma.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So just to ask about Michigan, just kind of like get onto the finance side. What, like, you don't have to give any numbers. Do they offer you guys a 401k? Is it pensionable? What is kind of like?
So I'm in a state pension right now, and I don't the exact numbers. Not really sure. Maybe 15 to 20 a year that they'll throw. Maybe 15 to 20 is on the high side, but maybe 10, 15, 20. I got to double check the paperwork. But then that's just from the state. Like, that's not me even throwing anything at it, which is kind of awesome. And then through my district, they have different 401ks and different all that stuff. But to get to that point, I don't even make that much where it's time to even start throwing stuff at it. Like, just with like my current expenses and how student loans are, it's just like, yeah. So I want to start that more next year, but I'm happy I have this just state fund that's just slowly like cooking. And I think it's 30, after 30 years, you can touch it. And then 30 years is where you get a pension. So it'll be the average of my 3 highest salaries, and it's like 85% of that, if that makes sense.
Okay, so you get the double dip of a 401k, and if you do the whole 30 years, you get a pension as well.
So yeah, like some people right now, they're retiring and their stuff is like 120k just from like 9 months of work. You know what I mean? So like whatever 85% of that is, that's their pension for the year, for like the year for the rest of their life.
So that's what I'm saying. So you get the double dip of, you get a 401k through your district, and you get a pension through the state of Michigan, like the Michigan teacher's pension.
Yes. It's just not as much starting money as like some other careers would be, if that makes sense.
That's very interesting. So basically they just wipe the floor with you, and then at the very end, if you survive the 30 years, they hook you up pretty well. You get health benefits too after that?
Yeah, so actually I just turned 26, so I got the health benefits and all that, and like they're like teacher health benefits, especially in Michigan, are like unbelievable. Like I can do anything and like it's paid for or all that. And then like when I'm super married, when I'm married with a bird or I have kids, like all that's covered. So that's one thing I don't really have to sweat. But exactly, dude, they really like rent you for every little thing.
Do they pay for advanced school, like master's degree, not advanced school? Do they pay for master's degrees and doctoral programs?
So doctorates, no, but masters, yeah, I'm looking into some possible programs that they're offering. So, and then that's the thing too. If you have a master's or the more education you have, the higher you go up in the pay scale, which I think the pay scale is kind of dumb. It's like, I don't really care about your evaluation. If every single kid gets an A or every single kid were to fail, I'm going to get paid the same. You know what I mean?
So in your school district, do you need a teacher's license to teach?
Yes. And where I'm at. Yeah. Which I'm all for. Yeah. So probably for down by you, it's not turning that way because they can't find anyone.
Yeah. There's a few people that I've talked to. They're like, yeah, we know like 8 teachers or whatever that don't even have their license or anything like that. I'm like, what? I was under the impression that everyone had their teacher's license that were teachers. But no, not in like big cities.
No, that's just the standards thing. They just need warm bodies and lower the standards. But when you lower the standards, you lower the pay. So that's why I'm trying to stay in areas where, like, I don't know, just avoiding that.
Mm-hmm. From your opinion, like I said, this is you're not representing anyone or anything like that. What are some things that Michigan or America could do to help teachers out, and so you don't have to lower standards and lower pay? Like, what is step one to fixing the problem, in your opinion, as a boots on the ground guy?
So just to get like just warm bodies in the classroom,
or because this is my read of the situation. Kelling, I would love to get your thoughts, and then I would love to hear Nick's answer of, like, so we're all on the same page. Like, as an outsider, as a friend who I talk to probably on a weekly basis, I view America's school system as broken on many levels, but on the first level, reading comprehension is down, respect for teachers are down, and also I think just this like the value of education as a whole is down. I think those three factors are kind of, from my opinion. If you have a completely different opinion, I would love to hear it. I think
No,
those factors are contributing to poor test scores, and like I think those are the three main problems. Kelling, what are your thoughts on the situation? So we're all on the same page, and then Nikki, I'd love for you just to take it and run with it of what your solutions would be.
Yeah, I agree with. I mean, respect. I know a lot of teachers are talking about that kids just don't respect people, and then also there's a huge drug problem in our schools. Apparently, from the teachers that I've talked to, that have been like, yeah, we have students that come to school like very obviously high, and we can't do anything about it. Um, so yeah, I think there's a huge cultural things that are in schools, especially affecting our young children. Which I mean, the children are our future and all that stuff. And I'm not a big fan of unions. We've had a big conversation on this podcast for a while. So I would say getting rid of the teachers union is definitely one of the first steps that we must do as a country. And then, yeah, just a cultural difference, which the things that I really like that I've done with Texas, and I know a lot of other schools have done this too, that they've passed bills that all public schools have to put up the 10 Commandments. And that's just like a cultural, respectful thing that, hey, you walk into school, you see the American flag. I know every single day in elementary school, we did the Pledge of Allegiance. I know a lot of schools don't even have that. And then you also see the 10 Commandments right next to the flag. And that's just a cultural thing that I think is number one. Then also the teachers union, get rid of that.
I think, yeah, I like both your guys' points. So just to kind of split it. So I think there's the financial side, like higher salaries / paying for people. Like the percentage of students that are in like college ed programs is down like super severely. And it's like, why would anyone want to invest in this when exactly it's disrespect, it's low pay? Like, I think that's one aspect of it. The drugs thing. Yeah. We had a kid at our school who got suspended for edibles. Like
in 7th grade.
Yeah. He's just
that's
falling asleep in class because he's off so many edibles. And then another kid, he has like dab cards falling out of his pockets. It's like, what? And the kids bring it to school and stuff, but it's like, dude, they're not going to the dispo and getting this stuff.
no.
So, John, kind of, well, to both your points, John and Nick, yeah, it's a lot to like parents, man. I'm only with your kid an hour a day, 5 hours a week as a middle school teacher. Like, if you got to read to your kid and you got to check in on them, like looking on their work, are they doing if they're at 5th grade, are they at least doing 4th to 5th grade math? Like, can you tutor them? Can you help them? Like, so many, I know, especially in our culture, it's 9 to 5 plus like a 5 to 10. Like, a lot of parents don't even have time to sit down with their kids. So this cultural problem of kids getting so low in reading and math, yeah, no shit, they're gonna get high at school because when they get to school, they don't even know what the fuck's going on. You know what I mean? They can't read at basic directions. They can't follow basic rules because no one's doing that at home.
And they don't have high reasoning skills either. Their frontal lobe hasn't developed, so they don't know what's right, what's wrong without parents' guidance.
Yeah, there's middle school stuff. Oh, you're goofing around like with your buddy, like jumping on his back in a classroom. Okay, that's one thing. But like, dude, we had a kid like bring a BB gun to school to like threaten somebody. It's like, what? You know what I mean?
On a political cultural thing, I think that it's just a kid being an idiot. If it was like a real gun, I'd be like, damn. But I remember me and Zach Dugan had once. We came to believe guns, but going to school is an idiotic thing.
But my first school, they brought a gun to school.
Say again?
At my hood school I was at, they brought a gun to school.
That's horrible. Like, it's like a knife for a gun, but like if it's a white kid with a BB gun, that's just guys being dudes, in my opinion. But if it's like a knife at schools, that's way more concerning, and like a real gun, obviously.
Or like kids, like 7th graders harassing chicks, telling them to like suck my dick or like I'm gonna hit you. Like what? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
But like, back to your point, who's gonna want to deal with that all day? Like,
yeah,
I got my summers. I kind of just some days I'm just kind of like, all right, so be it. We're not gonna do stuff. If you want to sit on your Chromebook all day, we're just gonna sit on our Chromebook. I'm sitting here getting paid. Like, so I think to both your points, I think there's just a lot of societal as well as financial that you could get into.
Okay, so before you go into the second part of the answer, I just want to summarize for the listeners. So we're saying that there was a lack of respect at the youth level stemming from lack of parents being there, as well as we're not getting high level candidates to be teachers due to the high student loan and low initial pay from the teachers. Because we did cover, if you make it if you survive the 30 years, what I'm sounding like, if you can survive the 30 years, you will have a pretty decent retirement via the 401k and the pension system. As someone who's boots on the ground, such as yourself, what is one step that we could take to maybe solve an issue or move in the right direction? Because I hear a lot of negativity coming from everyone about the future and everything like that. I personally think we're not moving the right direction, but there's still hope in America. So tell us, like, from your point of view, what is a good first step we could take in the school system to be moving back in the right direction?
Just be supportive of teachers. Your point with the teacher union, I'm not in the teacher union. It's $100 a month, and quite honestly, I don't really see my return on investment. I mean, It's $1,200 a month for someone to barter for me, for it to not really even go up that much. So, not saying like I totally respect that point of the teachers union, but just respect teachers in like general. Like John does a great job of it. John's lady, you know what I'm saying? Just like supporting people in the field is honestly just step one. You don't need to go to a bake sale. You don't need to buy candy bars for the local basketball team. Just like supporting the profession, I would say, is just step one that like everyone could do. You're like firefighters and policemen, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Besides step two, so basically, like, when you say support, I'm interpreting as like when you drew to firemen, policemen, like give them. I would not be upset if you see like a teacher's discount or like
exactly.
I would definitely be in all favor of that. But in terms of policy and actionable steps besides support and changing it as I would say that's a cultural first step. As like a policy first step, what you think could be implemented to fix?
I really like this question, John. Teachers should be allowed to suspend kids. I have kids that have 30 referrals. They have no business being in a classroom with other kids. Like, if teachers had the power to suspend not just 2 people in the building, that would change a lot of nonsense really quick. And obviously, it has to be legitimate documentation and reasons and go through the process. But if we had the power to suspend, so much less nonsense would happen.
Because I think that would one problem with I don't want to say fear, but bringing the respect back to the teacher. Because from my point of view, obviously the only teaching I've ever done was I taught 6th graders how to play golf one summer. You know? And like my teaching experience is null and void. Yeah. But like what I'm hearing from people is the respect really isn't there for authority in general, and I think that could solve one of the major issues.
Yeah. So I really like that question, and that'd be something I would do.
Kenley, what are your thoughts on that?
So I was looking at Michigan law with students. So you're saying that you're not in the students, you're not in a union because Michigan is right to work state as well as Texas, but Michigan is also a school choice state. So the kids get to pick what school that they want to go to, not, oh, I'm stuck in this district. That's something that every state needs to adopt, which will. What was that?
So that's actually interesting you bring that up. I really think it's competitive because it makes the districts have to be competitive. When I was in GRPS, most of the kids would go somewhere else for high school. Like they would go out of district school of choice for high school. The high schools sucked.
Yeah.
So I agree.
I'm agreeing with Michigan. I know Texas right now is going through that debate right now. It hasn't passed yet, but I know our governor has been pushing school choice since he's gotten elected. But he just doesn't have the Senate right now to back him on that. But I know a lot of states have been doing school choice, and they've seen pretty positive results with that competition because competition breeds excellence. That's
not that I want to say I disagree with both of you guys' opinions, but just to play devil's advocate as someone who is a big community guy, because like personally, I think all of our cultural and economic problems stem from the breakdown of the family union of there's a positive male role model at the home, and there's like consistency. I feel like the divorce, like you said it yourself, Nick, like both parents have to work 12 hours a day. So not even like a male role model or a female role model. It's just like the parents are hustling and the kids are left by themselves. So somebody who thinks like if you get back to that, a lot of these problems will be solved if you get back to not every parent working 24 hours freaking a day, 7 days a week, and like investing in the community. I like what you're talking about, Nick. Like both you guys are talking about the right to choose. But I would love what my concern with that is once you're going outside your community and your town for school, then it's very easy just to not fix any problems because you're just abandoning it. I would love to see, like, I agree with you, Nick, competition breeds excellence. But if we're going to make that law, put a little sunset on there. Like in 10 years, we can go back to, you got to go to your district just so you're not like, well, I don't care where I live because I still can go to a good school. Like it's kind of like the most, because the thing is, like, we know we all worked in government, like the most competent people in government. If you have a really competent person in government, you really can make a lot of change. I saw that at our company level and at our company, like shout out to our seniors. We had great senior and NCO leadership, and they really made our company like they're 22-year-old kids and they were phenomenal at their job. And without them, like our higher level leadership was piss poor. That's a fact. So like that's my only main concern with those types of policies. If you're just going to abandon the community and like you're going to let the competent people leave, because everyone knows if you give the freedom of choice, competition breeds excellence. The best people are going to leave the shitty school. You know what I'm saying? That's just that's not something I don't think you can really debate that. And that's really my only concern with those types of policies, where it's putting a band-aid as opposed to trying to get to the root of the problem.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with that concept, but the point is that these kids will then move. The teachers will move to better schools, and then there would be a gap in the economy. We're like, hey, there's money to be made from opening up a charter or a private school in this location, and people who want to invest in that will invest in that. And then if it's good, it's going to survive. If it's bad, it's going to die, and it's going to keep happening until something good comes in and it survives, and it's going to better the whole community. It's anything with any kind of business. If there's a demand for, let's say, real estate investors are going to go in there and build. As soon as there's not a demand for homes anymore, then they're going to leave. Which with education, especially K through 12, there's a government required demand there. So there'll always be a supply just until the supply becomes a good product, which is going to take time.
I only have one point of reference to this of when you say there's a gap and then the economy will take that gap through a charter school and things of that nature. This is my only point of view. This is where it comes from. When I lived in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, in the trailer park, when you make the gap so wide and you rob the community of hope, there's no such thing as an economy. There's no such thing as anything, because once you rob, there's no such thing as getting better, because once you rob people of hope, because I remember I was working at Chewy Nights. I was talking to a 50-year-old guy, father of 3. I was like, what are you doing this weekend? He wasn't talking about a soccer game or T-ball. He's like, oh, I'm gonna watch a fire, get drunk, because that's all I can do. And that's just the facts of when your most competent people leave the community and there's no reinvestment into your community, to your neighbors to the left and right of you, then once you lose hope, then it's nearly impossible to get that hope back and to build better. That's Detroit, the best thing to come back at me for, you could say Detroit, because they, like Nicky New can attest to this. Like Detroit's low-key come back with a vengeance right now, and they declare bankruptcy.
All this is just kind of natural selection to me, though. I mean, I think, just the people with all the money are going to have the best schools, and the people in the hood are just, it's just natural selection, man. Same with business and all that. So I kind of agree with you. And until the government makes it a priority, which I don't think it's on their agenda anytime soon, I just don't really think it's just going to be the same cycle.
I agree there. I know, Nicky, you have a hard out. Do you have our final question? Would you recommend being a teacher? Yes or no?
I really just wouldn't. If it was a free scholarship, yeah, but what I pay in loans and what I have to deal with daily and what I get a check every 2 weeks is, I would say no.
That's fair. That's for a
That's
reason.
fair. That's fair.
I appreciate the
You gotta-
honesty.
If it was yes, no, or other, there's some days it's awesome. Don't get me wrong. Like when all the asshole kids are gone and it's just cool kids, it's like, all right, this is fine. I'm out 2:45. The bell rings. I can walk out 10 minutes later. I have the whole afternoon to myself. And then there's some days that are torturous, but I would say for the most part, just no.
Well, if we have someone listening to this and they have a mindset that they want to be a teacher, you know, nothing's changed in their mind. What advice would you give them?
So that's one thing. I'd say if you really love it and you want to do it, go for it. I would just really respect your contract hours and don't get overworked. If you're gonna get extra dutied or you get there early or whatever, make sure you're compensated for it, or else they're just gonna take advantage of you.
Okay. I think that's
Fair.
pretty good for any job is like, don't get taken
Oh, yeah.
advantage.
Yeah.
You work, you get paid.
I mean, yeah, obviously be a good worker, but some of the stuff that I see that goes on, it's like, no. No thanks.
And Nick, I know we could go down the topic of do your job like at your time hours, and like how that's kind of sad that we're saying that, but I would say major corporations and the higher echelons of the American like the people who make the workforce decisions, like the people in the C-suite, have just treated people so poorly for so long that's like they killed that part of the economy, which is sad because I think that's what used to make us great. You guys have other thoughts, questions, comments, concerns?
No, it was nice talking with you guys. I hope this was kind of a different outlet for the viewers, and it was just nice chatting with you guys.
No, this was
Gotta respect your teachers.
Yeah, respect your teachers and do your homework.
Yep.
awesome.
All right.
Now I gotta get back to my homework.
Well, thank you so much for listening. God bless and have a good rest of your day.
God bless.